everybody. Welcome back to Kavanaugh's Corner. Just want to say thank you to everyone who saw my previous video on Long Kiss Goodnight. Just want to say a lot of you subscribed after watching that video. Many of you commented, and I just want to say thank you so very much for that. If you're new to the channel here on Kavanaugh's Corner, I review physical media releases, so movies that come out on Blu-ray, 4K, all kinds of stuff like that. Mainly movies, but every now and then I'll pull out a TV show or two. So today I actually have something kind of special. I'm going to be reviewing a movie that actually doesn't come out until April 1st. So I'm doing this a little bit early, but Lionsgate Home Entertainment was kind enough to send me this, and it is a new film starring Mark Wahlberg, and it's called Flight Risk. This was a film that came out in theaters not too long ago, so it is a very, very new film. And it is directed by Mel Gibson, who is the fairly controversial figure. The man has made some really incredible movies over the years, acting and directing. But I was excited to see this because I didn't get a chance to see this in theaters. So the fact that this was sent to me, a big thank you to Lionsgate for sending this out. Just a reminder for everyone, when I do reviews of movies like this that are sent to me from movie studios or distribution services, wherever it is like that. So even though Lionsgate sent me this, I'm not beholden to them or any studio to give a particular movie a good review. I'm here to just talk about the film, my thoughts on the film, the audio quality, the picture quality, as I normally do here on the channel. So just a little side note there, because I know there's been some controversy over the past couple months about things like this, like advanced copies or things like that. So just want to get that out of the way. So one thing I would say about Flight Risk is that if you are interested in seeing this film, I would say please do not watch the trailer or any kind of preview for this movie. The reason why I say that is because I was in a movie theater not long ago, and the trailer for this movie played before it, and it ruined the entire film. So I would say, please do not watch a trailer, do not watch a preview. Go into this thing blind, because actually, I can't even really talk about the plot in this review. I would feel like I'm spoiling major aspects of the movie if I even get into it. The little blurb on the back of this thing doesn't even get into it. And to be honest with you, the artwork on this packaging doesn't really give you a great idea of this movie. This looks like a flat-out Mark Wahlberg action movie, and it's not. It's actually kind of a suspense movie more than it is anything else. So all I'll say is Mark Wahlberg plays a really interesting character in this. He's pretty great in this movie, I would say. Probably the best thing about this film, and just how much he chews the scenery in this movie. The main actress in the film is an actor. Her name is Michelle Dockery. And honestly, I thought her performance was okay, but honestly, the movie goes about 20-something minutes. It is the flattest opening to a movie I have seen in a long time. It's not great, I'm going to be honest with you. My thoughts on this movie as a whole, I would say it's fair. It's not the best movie I've seen in a while. I've seen a lot of movies that take place in an enclosed location. Again, not to spoil a lot of the movie, but I've seen similar movies to this, and I've seen quite a few of them over the years, and this is by far one of the weakest ones. So as a movie, I would say unless you are a diehard Topher Grace or Mark Wahlberg fan, this may not be for you. But if you are interested in it, or maybe if you're a Mel Gibson fan, you like his films, you might get a kick out of it. But I would even rate this pretty low on Mel Gibson's filmography. I mean, compared to other films he's done like Apocalypto, Braveheart, even The Passion of the Christ, I would say this is a very, very lackluster effort from Mr. Gibson. But it does look pretty great, which kind of leads me into the main part of this review. So Flight Risk here is a native 4K transfer, and it does come with HDR10. And it being a new movie, it looked spectacular. Sadly, the cinematography in this film, as I mentioned, the movie does take place in a very contained space. And because of that, there are limitations to camera movement. And honestly, as beautiful as the picture quality is on this, because this was shot with some pretty high-end digital cameras, some real nice ones too. I think the Ronin camera was used on this, which is an amazing piece of technology. It's a camera about yay big, but you can put it in a lot of contained tight spaces. So it looks incredible. Picture quality is amazing. But sadly, the cinematography of this movie, as beautiful as certain parts are, it's a pretty flat movie. And it gets kind of bright in terms of HDR usage. The brightness and stuff of the movie was actually pretty great. The movie opens with like a nighttime scene, which looks, fairly good. But the limitations of the film itself, the story, the location, even the budget, I would say, of this movie was a big factor, because this movie was shot almost completely in a soundstage in 22 days, which is an amazing thing. But besides all that, as nice as the picture is, I mean, it is crystal clear, crisp quality. It's a beautiful 4K picture. It's just not shown off very well. I've seen a lot of other movies, newer films, that have used cinematography in a much more eye-popping way. The movie has a very natural, normal-looking movie. There's nothing about it that I would say this is a must for like your home theater experience. It just kind of looks really sharp and crystal clear. It's not wowing in any real ways. The biggest wow of the movie is how it was made, honestly, and I'll get more into that later in the review when I talk about the special features. But the one thing about this movie that got me was actually the sound. And so, as, decent as the picture was, I mean, it does look great. It's a brand new movie. I wasn't expecting this to look poor. But for the sound, this does have a Dolby Atmos audio track. And the sound on this was actually pretty impressive. In certain times in the movie, it really does feel like you're in a plane. And you're kind of almost constantly surrounded with some kind of sound effect. And they did a really good job with it. Audio placement of dialogue was really well done. There's a song that comes into play in the movie that's played over like a headset while the characters are in the cockpit of a plane. And that was kind of a funny moment. But for the most part, the movie sound is really, really excellent. And the sound design is fantastic. And again, it being a fairly, basically a brand new movie, they did a really good job with that. So sound-wise, I would say it's impressive. Now, with Dolby Atmos, there is opportunities to use the overhead effects. And in this movie, the bummer of the century with this film is that there's not a lot of that in this movie. And you figure a movie about, flying, there's a lot of flying involved in this film, would use that. And it's kind of only used maybe like 2 times throughout the entire film. So again, as good as the sound quality is, it was nothing to me that was kind of mind-blowing. But it was really well done. So again, the whole kind of presentation here to me is kind of a double-edged sword. The movie I thought was okay. The performances I thought were decent, good enough, especially with Marky Mark chewing the scenery through like 95% of the movie. Topher Grace I thought was funny, but again, it just wasn't anything spectacular. It, was a nice escape for an hour, 20-something minutes. This movie is only 91 minutes long, including the credits. So, again, it's a very short movie, and, for that reason, it's kind of up to you. So, again, it's a mixed bag. The other big negative about this 4K is the fact that there's literally two special features. There's the theatrical trailer, which I warned you earlier not to watch because it really literally ruins the entirety of the film. And then there was an 8-minute like making of featurette. And the making of featurette, even though it was only 8 minutes, it was cool to see how they made this movie. Funny enough, there are some videos on YouTube about the making of this movie that are actually more informative than this special feature that's on this disc. I cannot remember the gentleman's name for the life of me at the moment, but a fellow YouTuber interviewed Mel Gibson and his director of cinematography on YouTube, and I actually suggest you go watch that video because Mel gives a really funny, wacky interview, as he normally does. And it was cool to hear these guys talk about how exciting this new camera technology and how, you know, wild it was to work in the setting they did to make this movie in the time that they made it. So, all in all, I mean, Flight Risk, it was a nice escape for an hour and 20-something minutes, but honestly, it didn't really blow me away in any way, shape, or form. Again, unless you're a big Mel Gibson or Mark Wahlberg fan, I would say buy this at your discretion. Maybe rent it, if I could make a suggestion. Again, looked great, but it, you know, wasn't anything to write home about, sadly. As much as I wanted to enjoy this movie, I kind of... It didn't really do anything for me. So that's all really I have to say about Flight Risk. I'll leave a link in the description below that leads to Amazon. If you use that link and you do want to pick up this film, which, again, you might want to just wait for a sale for this one. But if you want to use that, it does help me out a little bit here on the channel. The best thing you can do to help me out here is to hit that subscribe button. And if you like this video, hit that like button if you feel informed. Again, completely up to you, but I really, really appreciate it. At last check, when I was filming this video, I was just this close to 6,500 subscribers. I've been at this for a little over 10 years now, and this has been a labor of love. And again, to all you guys who watch and comment and subscribe and like, I greatly, greatly appreciate it. You guys are really the ones that keep me going here. And what are your thoughts on Flight Risk? Did you see this movie in theaters? I just, you know, I'd like to know, like, what are your thoughts on this one? Because this one, a lot of mixed emotions about this. So anyway, if you really, really want to, I'll leave another link in the description below that goes to buy me a coffee. That's a way that you can actually help directly fund the channel, because not every movie is given to me by a movie studio for review. So this is a rare case scenario. It doesn't happen all the time, but every now and then I get lucky. So if you do want to donate to the channel, that link is in the description as well. Thank you so, so much for coming back to Kavanaugh's Corner. I wish you all the very best. Please stay safe, keep collecting, and take it easy.